In today's Our Region's Business Online Extra, we're talking employment and labor force, two big issues for employers across our region and two big challenges so many of them are facing right now. Back with us is Jim Futrell, Vice President of Market Research for the Allegheny Conference on Community Development, which co-produces Our Region's Business. And Jim, good to see you. Welcome back.
Good to see you too, Bill.
Now, I understand our Pittsburgh numbers lag the big national numbers in terms of when we get this data. So what we're going to talk about is as of year end, right? Last year?
Right. Yeah, these would be through December.
Okay. So what are you seeing?
Well, we're seeing the region creep so slowly back to pre-pandemic employment levels. We had been stuck through most of the summer and fall at around 94%, but now we're closer to 95%. So, I mean, we're seeing this slow but steady recovery. But I think one of the things that we have to be concerned about is we rank at the bottom of our benchmark communities, so the 15 cities we gauge our performance against. And what you see arising there is a very strong correlation between employment growth and population growth. And that's a very basic economic construct that roughly 2/3 of your economy exists to support the people in that region, the spending in that region. So when you're growing a population rapidly, like in Austin or Nashville, you're naturally going to have that organic demand for employment. And while we are no longer losing people, we're not growing the population fast enough to have that similar situation here.
You talked about how things improved a little bit in terms of in terms of employment as we went into December. Did the holidays have something to do with that? The return of arts and culture to the cultural district?
Yeah, really. I mean, I think what you noticed, what I thought was really interesting, is that the leisure and hospitality sector is continuing its recovery. You saw you've seen like the arts and entertainment and recreation sector come back to pre-pandemic employment levels. That actually happened September, October, which ironically is when the Cultural Trust started doing live performances again. So it really helped the employment in that sector. The largest sector, which would be food service and drinking places, you did see a slight increase in employment November to December. You usually do see that because of holiday parties. Fortunately, the industry was able to take advantage of that this year, unlike 2020. Where we still see some struggling is among accommodations, which I don't think is surprising because that whole business travel sector has not returned to its pre-pandemic levels. And because of that, the big downtown hotels really don't have that robust, meeting and banquet business that drives so much of their employment.
What are areas, parts of the economy that are still struggling?
Well, I mean, you really see 5 industries in the region that are really kind of struggling to recover to get back to pre-pandemic employment levels. Most of the other industries tend to be within 3 to 5 percentage points of where they were 2 years ago. But you see leisure and hospitality and other services, those are things like dry cleaners and repair services and personal care services. Those are the two that were disproportionately impacted by the pandemic operating restrictions. They have lagged behind most other industries. We also see manufacturing and wholesale trade. Those tend to be 2 older industries that have been shedding top line headcount for several years now. So it's not really tied to the pandemic. And finally, you see mining and logging, which has been impacted by broader market conditions.
When we talked a month ago, we talked about the labor force, which has really been shrinking. Is there any updated information about what's happening there?
Well, one of the things we've seen is that the labor over the past several months, the labor force has shrunk to levels we have not seen here since around 1990, so over 30 years. I think you hear a lot about the Great Resignation, as they call it, retirements at record highs. With a median age here that is roughly 4.5 years older than the nation as a whole, we tend to have an older workforce. So I think we're being impacted by more impacted by retirements than other parts of the country.
Jim Futrell from the Allegheny Conference. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Sure thing, Bill.